कर्हिचित् प्रजासर्ग निरोधेऽपि स्मृतिश्च मद अनुग्रहात्.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Matirmayi nibeddhayam na vipadyate karhichit praja sharga nirodhyapi smritischa mad anugrahat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, word for word, mati, intelligence, mai, devoted to me, nibadha, engaged, iyam, this, na, never, vipadjeta, separate, karhichit, at any time, praja, living beings, sarga, at the time of creation, nirodhe, also at the time of annihilation, api, even, smriti, remembrance, cha, and mat, mine, anugrahat, by the mercy of. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation, as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. Report. Devotional service rendered to the personality of Godhead never goes in vain. Since the personality of Godhead is eternal, intelligence applied in his service or anything done in his relation is also permanent. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered unto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth. And when the devotee is fully matured, the total service counted together makes him eligible to enter into the association of the personality of Godhead. Such accumulation of God's service is never vanquished, but increases till fully matured. Om Agyanatimirandasya Jananjanan Salakaya Chakshu Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadav Mahyan Tadate Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasri Go Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a very inspiring verse and purport by Srila Prabhupada. And it points us to the importance of engaging in the Lord's service, which poses a question in my mind, which we'll try to discuss a little bit today, which is, why do we sometimes hesitate to engage in active service to the Lord? So we'll delve into that concept a little bit, because sometimes we find that in our movement, devotees may or may not understand the importance of actively serving the Lord. And that means with all the bodily limbs, with all of our senses, with all of our mind, with all of our intelligence. Krishna tells us, Man manad bhava mad bhakto majaji mam. Engage your mind, always thinking of me. Engage in my service. So, and that service is, there's so many levels, so many aspects of that service. We know that devotional service, the 9 processes, begins with hearing and chanting. So hearing the glories of the Lord, chanting his glories, remembering him, serving him. But this concept of service always pushes through. So what does that mean, service? We may think that not the only, but it's enough just to read Prabhupada's books. We must read Srila Prabhupada's books. There's no way we can make advancement without that. And we must study carefully, as he says in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, first purport, first verse, first chapter. One must scrutinizingly study Bhagavad Gita, and of course, all the other literatures. But then what is the conclusion of that studying and reading and hearing and so on and so forth? What's the actual conclusion? What happens after that? It's quite interesting. I remember being in New Delhi in 1976. I was fortunate that night Srila Prabhupada was speaking at the Ram Leela Maidan. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's a big field where they have big festivals. So Srila Prabhupada was speaking that night. And I was fortunate to go on the stage, put a garland on Prabhupada and sit next to him during the class. My temple president was very merciful. He allowed me to do that. But I remember as Srila Prabhupada was explaining about devotional service, he was speaking in Hindi, but I could catch a few words. So Lokanath Maharaj, in order to emphasize what Srila Prabhupada was saying, he was standing up speaking to the audience, trying to get them to understand about service, devotional service, and how you should act after hearing. Not that hearing is the only thing, but you have to, what is the proper response after hearing? So he explained something in Hindi. He was speaking to one man and he said to him something which meant to get up and move. So he said it in Hindi, the man got up and started moving toward the stage. And then he said, this is what is meant by hearing. One should act, should carry forth and do something after hearing. It's not enough just to hear it. One can attain perfection by any of the 9 processes, by hearing, by chanting, by remembering, and there's different devotees who represent those different processes. But Srila Prabhupada taught us by his example that after spending sufficient time hearing and preparing himself before coming to the West, he immediately got off the boat and started activity, started action. Of course, he went to Butler, Pennsylvania, and he didn't just sit in Sally Agarwal's house. He would go to the YMCA and he would give classes and he was preaching to people. And then he went through Philadelphia and he spoke at university. Then he went to New York. But you can notice he was always busy. And he would say that. He said, devotees are busy from 4 in the morning till 10 at night. Now, that was a lot more, it was easier when we all lived in the temple. It was much easier to do that system, 4 in the morning, 10 at night. And that's exactly what it was. And some devotees, including myself, we actually started at 2:30 in the morning. So we could chant japa before Mangal Artik. Mangal Artik was at 4:30. So we wanted to finish our japa before Mangal Artik so that we could spend time in the morning reading, because during the day, there was just no time. Why? We were busy. Busy doing what? Everything. Sankirtan, cooking, cleaning, so many things, busy, as Prabhupada had said. So that stayed in our mind, that the result of hearing is service, physical, active service, because we're not Babajis. It's not that we can sit and just chant all day or read all day. We're not Babajis. This is not a Babaji movement. This is an active movement. The example being set by Srila Prabhupada. So he always said that 2 and 4 in the morning, 10 at night, devotees are busy. And why? Because of that realization of the importance and the benefits of serving Krishna, which is what's being discussed here. It compounds. I've heard this example so many times. If you take a penny and you double it every day, keep doubling every day, you'll come to $1 million within a certain time, because it compounds, it grows. So Krishna consciousness is like that. And Srila Prabhupada says that in the purport. He uses the term, I believe, accumulated. Yes, such accumulation. It's like if you accumulate money, you put it in a savings account and you look at it and it grows every month, or whenever you put money into it, it keeps growing. And as it grows, your confidence grows. You think, I have some security. If an accident happens, I have something I can take care of it. If I need to fix the roof on my house, because I put something there, I can be confident that it will be there when I need it. So in Krishna consciousness, the same thing. The more we serve, the more confidence we have. If we're hearing properly and understanding what we're reading and hearing in these classes, then our confidence should grow in Krishna consciousness. So then we see service, 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 service. And then we can have the confidence that if any problem comes in my life, by serving Krishna, I'm fine, because he says that in the end of the Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharma Prichajam, Sarvadharma Prichajam. I don't know why I'm getting the verse mixed up, but you know what I'm saying. Sarvadharma Prichajam, Mamekam Saranam Vraja, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo, Mokshri Shami Masucha. Just surrender to me. Just surrender unto me. I will protect you from all the dangers of even your past karma. I will protect you from all of that. So the devotee's confidence grows as they perform service. What is that confidence? Is it something that we generate? No, this is coming from Krishna. Te sam satata yuktanam bhajitam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam. Krishna gives us that understanding how to come closer to him. And he solidifies our realization, especially with reference to service. Te sam satata yuktanam bhajitam priti purvakam. Serving with love. Whether we're hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping the lotus feet, it should be done with full attention and love. And the more service we do, the better. I was just describing this beautiful little pastime in the Nectar Devotion just the other day. I think Vishnu Prabhu was there when we were talking about it. And it's just 3 sentences in the first section of Nectar Devotion. And it describes this Mataji. In order to invoke transcendental consciousness, Krishna consciousness, she danced all night. And I thought this is so beautiful. In order to invoke, to bring forth her devotional service, her heart, she danced all night. Just 3 little lines, this little pastime. When you read Nectar Devotion, there's so many little pastimes that Srila Prabhupada reveals from different Padma Puran, this place, that place, to explain these wonderful points about devotional service. See, Bhakti, Nectar Devotion is all about devotional service. The nectar of devotional service, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of devotional service. So this concept of service keeps coming back. So my question is, why do we sometimes hesitate to engage in service? Thinking that, if I just read, that's enough. Or if I just study, that's enough. Those things are important. But what is the result of that? Well, look at Srila Prabhupada. The result of his intense scholarship was to finish his Bhagavatam 3 parts, put them in boxes, and travel across the ocean to come and walk the streets of America. And he did that. Alone in New York, he was walking the streets, selling his books at the different places. He said that's how he maintained himself for 1 year. Not just sitting down, waiting for Krishna to do everything. He got up. He went out on Sankirtan. He's the first ISKCON Sankirtan devotee. Even before he got to America, he was distributing books on the boat to the captain. What was his name? Pandya? I forget his name, the captain of the Jaladut. Prabhupada distributed books to him. And that's how he maintained himself. He said for 1 year, how he was eating, how he was paying, wherever he was staying, just by doing that service, using his legs to move and go and preach about Krishna. So again, that question comes to my mind. Why do we sometimes hesitate to engage our hands in the service of the Lord, our feet in moving to the temple, cleansing the temple? There's one beautiful image that comes to my mind, and it's from the Houston temple. I was looking at one video, this is years ago, and there was one very old Mataji, alone by herself in the temple, the beautiful temple they have in Houston, not the new one, but the building before. And she was just cleaning the temple by herself. And I was like, wow, look at that. It was so inspirational. It made me want to get up off my little laziness and try and do some service, physical service. I was thinking of Vinjavali. I see her wonderful face there. And she was telling me how in California, when she was there, devotees gave her some books. You remember that, Vinjavali? Gave her some case of books. And she was going door to door by herself, distributing books. That's very inspirational. Because once we hear sufficiently, there must be action. Must be action. It reminds me of what helped me in Krishna consciousness. People always ask that, how did you join the movement? Wonderful questions. So it's not a question of how I joined the movement. It's a question of what did I do for the movement that helped me get the realization of the importance of devotional service. There's several things that I personally did that no one told me to do. It's just somehow or another, I just felt I should serve, I should do something. Devotees are giving me, I should give back. So one of the things I used to do, because I as I mentioned many times, I worked in Midtown, and Vishnu Prabhu, I'm sure he remembers the Midtown area of Atlanta. way down Peachtree. People, when they think of Atlanta, they think of one word, Peachtree, because Peachtree is such a long, long road. So in Midtown, I used to work at the corner, this building, 14th and Peachtree. And the temple was on 13th Street and West Peachtree. So once I connected with the temple, I used to go every single day at lunch every single day, because I could walk to the temple, chant 4 rounds, take a little prasadam, and associate with devotees. Okay, those are little deposits that I made every day, not really understanding, but doing it. Every day after work, I would go back to the temple again, and I had to take 2 buses to go home. So then I would go downtown. We had an incense warehouse, Spiritual Sky Incense Warehouse downtown, big warehouse. So I would go every day after working 8 hours a day, on my feet, constantly moving at work. I would go and help Jayasena Prabhu pack and ship incense for a couple of hours every day. Then I would go home. Then I would finish my rounds. Every day I was chanting 16 rounds for a year. So all these deposits, not even understanding the glories of devotional service. I'm just a new guy, new Bhakta Ben. But somehow my heart, Krishna was pushing me because I kept doing service. I thought, let me do service. That I can do. As Tesam Satrayuktanam, Bhajitam Pritipurvikam, the Dhammi Krishna kept giving me, because Krishna is the one that's giving us ideas in the form of the super soul through our intelligence. He's suggesting, and hopefully we can hear. The more we serve, the more we can hear. Okay? Bhajitam Pritipurvikam, the Dhammi Buddhi Yoga. If we serve with love, here I am, this guy coming to the temple. I didn't know anything much about that, but somehow my heart told me, serve devotees, serve the temple. I didn't even understand about serving Krishna. It was just serve the devotees, serve the devotees, serve the devotees. And gradually, realization started coming of the importance of service. And another wonderful service that I created for myself was babysitting. We had this little gift shop in the old temple. It was like the size of a big closet, practically, little place. And the Mataji, the temple president's wife, she basically asked me if I would watch her daughter, Prabhu Mangala. So she had this little baby carriage. And inside the baby carriage, there were all these pictures of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, so the baby could look up and see Krishna all day. So on Sunday, I would go and clean the little gift shop, organize all the little items, and then I would watch this little girl every Sunday. Took me 2 buses to get to the temple. Every Sunday I would go and do that. It was so wonderful. I didn't understand what Prabhupada's saying here, accumulating those spiritual credits. So when it came time to surrender, when the temple president asked me, he said, Bhakta Ben, why don't you move into the temple? And I was like, what? Move into the temple? I never thought I'd have to do that. I just keep coming. But somehow in the back of my mind, I really wanted to, but I just never thought I'd do it. But when he asked me that question, it was almost a year after I had been doing all of those little services. And I had enough intelligence by Krishna's grace, the Dhammi Buddhi Yoga, to take that step, to make that sacrifice. I was describing the other day how Tamal Krishna Maharaj was giving class once. I believe it was in Detroit, or it might have been Chicago. Maybe it was Chicago at a GBC president's meeting. And he said something that sticks with me to today. He said, when we first come to Krishna consciousness, and he was referring at that time basically to how devotees had come in the 60s and early 70s, and how they would just sacrifice everything. So he said, because of that sacrifice, we had this infusion of initial Krishna consciousness that drove us to do service, to surrender to Srila Prabhupada. And I found that to be really, really true, that, when we give up something, the material activities for the service of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, they bless us with this attachment to devotional service. So again, the main point that's sticking in my mind is that why do we sometimes hesitate to engage in service? Well, we have reasons. We said we live too far from the temple, or I have family, and I have a job, and so many things. And they're all valid. These are all valid points. But I also had a job, 8 hours a day, and I was a musician. I used to sing at least Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 9 at night till 3 in the morning, practically. But I chanted 16 rounds. Still, I found time to come to the temple. Still, somehow or another, because I realized that, devotees were giving me so much. What can I give back? Gradually, I understood something about Srila Prabhupada. But initially, it was just about helping the devotees. Oh, I remember once the devotees went from Atlanta to New Vrindavan for Janmashtami. That had to be 1972, because I joined in 73, or it could have been 73, right before I joined. So Jayasena Prabhu, he was there at the temple. All the devotees had gone to New Vrindavan. It was just him and maybe one other devotee. And he said, Bhakta Ben, can you help me organize Janmashtami? And I was like, well, first of all, what is Janmashtami? I had no idea what that was. But he engaged me in helping to organize the Janmashtami festival at the temple. And I'm just a new Bhakta, because he knew how much I loved service, how I understood the importance of service, physical service. And then Jayasena told me something, which is one of those instructions that I wear with me all the time. He said, you engage in Krishna's service now, do what Krishna wants done, and one day Krishna will allow you to do things that you would like to do for him. I was like, wow, that's beautiful. And it became true, because I was a musician. I still wanted to do music, but I just surrendered everything. Just whatever the temple authorities wanted me to do, I just did that. But then in 1975, the temple president said, Balabhadra, I have an idea. You're a musician, Nardi's a musician. Let's make some music and preach. I was like, wow. Krishna came back and gave me what I would really like to do. And since 1975 to this day, I'm able to do that. So this importance of service. And there's a beautiful verse that's in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 5, text 48, where it states, Navama karma kalpopi vipala yeshwarar pita kalpate purushashaiva sahyatma daito hita. Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if performed in small measure, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entities. So that refers back to what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport about, any devotional service rendered to the Personality of Godhead never goes in vain. That relates to the verse Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 40. Neha bikrama nasosti pratyavayo navidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Purport: activity in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work. So look at Prabhupada's words there. Highest transcendental quality of work. Again, Tesam Satyayuktanam Bhajitam Priti Purvakam. That Bhajitam Priti, that quality, that love. So that is the highest transcendental quality of work, when you do service to Krishna without expecting any sense gratification, anything in return. That's confidence in Krishna, that if I serve Krishna, everything will be fine, if I can just engage in service. For instance, in our temple there in Philadelphia, I know there's so many services. I mean, I'm sure Drona could give you a list as long as, whatever that street is in Philadelphia is like big, long list. One thing that comes to mind, I think about my dear God brother, Vishnu Prabhu, and how he mentioned the other day on Prabhupada's disappearance, that when he heard that Prabhupada had disappeared, what was he doing? And without hesitation, he said, I was cooking. He's well known throughout the movement as a great cook, great kirtan leader, great preacher. So what is he doing now? After almost 50 years, what is he doing now? You go there on Saturday and Sunday, you'll see, still cooking. And he, whenever he's in that kitchen, it's going to be some awesome prasadam. There's a devotee in Atlanta, his name is, well, he's not here now, Kardama Muni. He's one of my first Siksha gurus. He taught me kirtan and mridanga. He taught me Bhagavad Gita. And whenever Kardama Muni was in the kitchen, he's like Vishnu Gada. And whenever he was in the kitchen on the Sunday feast, and he would use this phrase, we're going to have oceans of prasada. Ocean. And we knew what came out of that kitchen offered to the Lord was going to be awesome, totally awesome. So Vishnu Gada is similar like that. So even after all these years, almost 50 years, if not 50 years, still engaging in that service. Why? Because he understands. This is my deposit in my future. This is helping me have confidence that maybe by Krishna's grace, maybe by Prabhupada's mercy, maybe I might be allowed to go back to Godhead. So let me engage in this service. Maharaj Ambrish, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunarna Varnane Karahare Mandira Marjanadisu Shutim Chakara Chuta Satkato Deye Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho Tad Britya Gatra Sparshinga Sangamam Granam Chatat Pada Saroja Sorabe Srimat Tulasya Rasanam Tararpate Padao Hare Kshetra Padanusarpane Shiro Hishikesha Padabi Vandane Kamam Chadasye Natukama Kamyaya Yato Tamashloka Janashaya Riti. Maharaj Ambrish always engaged his mind, Mamana, in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. His words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of Tulsi offered to the Lord, and he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasadam. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all the desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambrish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service, in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. That question comes up, how can I become free? How can I get free from these material? Well, go do some service. It's a great question. It's a valid question. It plagues us all. We get stuck. When we get stuck and we can't figure it out, go do some service. The temple is there, not just we can go on Sunday and say, Hari Bol, see the deities, have a nice kirtan, go home. That's fine. But the temple affords an opportunity for service, if you so choose, if you so understand what the verse is saying today. Okay, we're studying Bhagavatam. We're having a nice Bhagavatam class. We're looking at this beautiful verse. But what this verse is saying is get busy. Realize the importance of devotional service. We realize the importance of money. That's why we go to work. You don't go to work because you like, hey, Drona, you work for the city of Philly because you just love working there. You would rather be there than in the temple chanting. I don't think so. I don't think so. You go because there's money. And money translates into resources for your family, for serving the temple, so you can be free to serve the temple. But, you know, it's like we have to understand, Srila Prabhupada was saying in the class this morning, that people have to know their real self-interest. They don't know their real self-interest. They have concluded their real self-interest is just money, sense gratification, sex, and all these things. He said they don't even know what to do because they don't know what is their self-interest. What is their real self-interest? What is the ultimate best thing that we can do in this life to attain the highest level of result? Is to engage constantly in the service of the Lord. The temple provides that opportunity. We should take full advantage of, not take advantage of the temple, like take from the temple, take advantage of the temple being there. We're so fortunate in Philadelphia, have such a wonderful temple that needs a lot of service. We can all come there and analyze, oh, this place is like this thing is like that. Once in Atlanta, one of my dear godbrothers who passed away in Mayapur, of all places, Irguna Prabhu, he was a wonderful Sankirtan devotee, just very special devotee. But one night he asked this question. It was a loaded, sometimes you ask these loaded questions of visiting sannyasis. You want to get them to say something to chastise the rest of the temple. So he asked this question of which Maharaj is that? No, I just forgot his name. But anyway, he asked this question, Maharaj, doesn't it take good organization to clean the temple or this and that? And Maharaj looked at him and said, how much organization does it take for you to pick up a broom and sweep? You want to talk about the organization of the temple, you take the broom, you go and sweep, you go do service. Of course, there should be organization done with intelligence. But when we see, if Krishna allows you to see where something is deficient and you don't speak up and try and do something to help, you're wasting that inspiration Krishna just gave you. Quick example, because I know our time is running out. In our Atlanta temple, that property we have right now, when we first moved in, it was a disaster. Believe me, it was a mess. And we had this little kitchen that became my office when I was president, little kitchen. And when Prabhupada was there and he was speaking, the kitchen was right next to the temple room. And Prabhupada could hear the chopping of the knives in the kitchen. And he commented about, what is that sound? So that kitchen, every day, in order to cook, we had to chase the mice away, the rats and mice. They were everywhere, crawling everywhere. So I found out that if you cover everything and they don't have access to eating, then they go away. So I went to the temple president. I said, Prabhu, if I raise the money, can I buy these food grade containers to protect the boga so the rats won't come? He said, you're going to raise the money? I said, yes, Prabhu, do it. I didn't ask him to do it. I said, Prabhu, you should do this. You should do. I said, can I do that? And he blessed me. He said, yes. And then we bought those things. It was $250 and it solved our problem. It inspired me. Oh, this is another one. Real quick, this is really sweet. We didn't know that Prabhupada was coming to Atlanta. We found out a little bit later, but I was selling incense for the temple in South Carolina. And I was in this beautiful shop and I saw this teakwood table and a brass tray, Indian. And I was just, wow, can I get that for the temple? I didn't think to get it for Prabhupada, just for the temple. So I called my temple president. I said, Balabhadra, I'd like to buy this for the temple. He said, how much is it? I said, $49. He said, how much have you sold so far? I said, $5,000 in incense. He said, okay, you can buy it. So I bought it and brought it back to the temple. And lo and behold, this is so beautiful. It is the exact table that Srila Prabhupada offered arti to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Krishna inspired. I had no idea. I just wanted to do it for the temple, not for me, but for the temple. So my point is very simple, that if we give our heart and soul to service, and like I say, in Philadelphia, you have so many opportunities. When I come to the temple and I see Ganga Mantra Prabhu working in the yards, and I see Bhakta Andrew working in the yards, and last time I was there, Bhakta Bob and Drona were running around getting the tent ready, and Vinjavali was working, and she was so busy she didn't even see me. I said, Mataji, she was like, just busy. It's incredible. Vishnu Gadal's cooking. So we should all take advantage of this opportunity, of this human form of life, this chance we have for devotional service, and engage. So the last thing I want to share real quick is this beautiful statement from the Nectar Devotion. It's under the title, Great Hope. The strong conviction that one will certainly receive the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called in Sanskrit, Ashabandha. Ashabandha means to continue to think, quote, because I'm trying my best to follow the routine principles of devotional service, I am sure that I will go back home, back to Godhead. In this connection, one prayer by Rupa Goswami is sufficient to exemplify this hopefulness. He says, quote, I have no love for Krishna, nor for the causes of developing love of Krishna, namely hearing and chanting, and the process of bhakti yoga by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in the heart is also lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I am not even born of a nice family. Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Krishna, maintainer and beloved of the gopis. I simply wish and hope that some way or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain because I think myself quite unfit. So keep those thoughts in your mind, and I'll stop there. Hopefully there's a couple of quick questions or comments. Thank you very much for allowing me to share my heart with you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Balabhadra Prabhu. That was very inspiring.
Thank
the
you.
way you were so enthusiastically talking about doing devotional service. This is brought back so many wonderful memories of just the first, initial times of doing devotional service. And I remember one of the first services I was given was cutting the grass. And I would look forward to all week that day. I forget what day it was. It was, I think, Thursday, it was toward the end of the week, Friday, Thursday. And I was going to college at the time. And that was like, I just couldn't wait to go cut the grass.
Wow.
And I couldn't understand why, that gave me such joy, but I just couldn't wait to go cut the grass. My father would ask me to cut the grass. It would be like a chore, but this was like, it gave me such pleasure.
Wow. Beautiful memory.
So I was thinking that sometimes those feelings could either they could wane a little bit. Sometimes initially you get this boost or this wonderful taste, and then as time goes on, maybe that taste starts to dwindle a little bit, and some may compare it even to like falling in love. Like you fall in love, everything is blissful and wonderful, and then it just becomes ordinary. And it's not that it's not nice, but it just kind of becomes ordinary over time. How can we hold on and relish those feelings that we have, kind of like at those important or kind of, as you were talking about, you would go and clean the gift shop and like something very simple, but it gave you such feelings of joy.
Yeah.
Rekindling that, so we live that all the time, every day.
Yeah. That, again, that goes back to our books, Srila Prabhupada's teachings. I think of Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, verse 17 to 18, 19. There's a term, I believe it's rejuvenating. Like sometimes our devotional service, like you say, gets a little maybe stagnant. It's not stagnant because whatever you've done, nothing is lost, except maybe you slow down. So then you have to think, well, what can I do? And as I said earlier, get up and do something for Krishna. Break through. Either hearing, chanting, remembering, do something. And it really helps in the initial stages to just do service. Whenever I get confused, like I'm very fortunate, I get to go on Harinam every Friday in Atlanta when I'm here. And it just, my God, it's just, it's like a breath of fresh air. It just reinvigorates me for a whole nother week practically. Then I find other ways to serve during the week. So service begets enthusiasm. But in the beginning, like you say, you have to be enthusiastic for service. What causes that enthusiasm is understanding what you're reading. If you're studying these books, you will be inspired to serve, because that's what it talks about throughout the books, the importance of service. The whole verse this morning is about service. How service accumulates, is never lost. That should inspire us. Wow. And in that verse I just read to you from the Nectar Devotion, that hope against hope. Maybe if I serve enough, consistently, with love, maybe the Lord will let me come back home, back to God. But that hope is giving me pain because I'm not worthy. But I'm going to try I love the first part. I'm just going to try my best. I'm going to try my best. And it says, quote, because I'm trying my best to follow the routine principles of devotional service, I am sure that I will go back to Godhead, back to home. So you have to try your best. And Prabhupada called it your level best. He tried his level best. He never felt he did enough. He said, I'll do my level best. English is not my first language. I'm an old man. I don't have money, all those things. But he said, let me try, do my best. So when you become disheartened, confused, go back to the Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 18. Nasta praisa badresu, nityam bhagavata sevaya, bhagavatu tamasloke, bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart becomes practically destroyed, and loving service to the Lord becomes established as an irrevocable fact. So that confusion that we have is removed by service. It all comes back to service, Jonah. And as long as we understand how valuable this jewel of devotional service is, then we don't have a problem. But once we forget that, and we start speculating it's something else, is this person's fault, is this reason, my health, is this, is that, million excuses. They better be good excuses too, really good excuses. Because at the time of death, you're gonna have to give Krishna that excuse. Well, why, Krishna? I didn't like this devotee. I couldn't get along with this. I didn't like this in the temple. Really? Okay, go back and try and come back again. So yes, if we just pay attention to what we're studying and hearing, and apply it. It's not enough just to hear, apply. So we apply what we're hearing, then our problems go away. Not immediately, because that verse in the Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 18, it says, it's not like it disappears immediately, but all that is troublesome to the heart becomes practically and gradually destroyed. So that's what I would say. Just whenever you're confused about, you lose enthusiasm, go do some more service. But at least read Prabhupada's books to become inspired again. Service really inspires, as you said. It really, really does. I have so many, little pastimes. I won't tell them right now, but it's just how important service is to me. So I hope that helped a little bit, Drona.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Anyone else?
Mother Vindhyavali?
You're on mute.
Hare
There you go.
Krishna. Thank you very much for the nice class.
Thank you, Maji.
And I like that Neha Bikramanasosti Pratyavayo Navidyate Swalpam Api Asya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. So I really like that, like last two lines, Swalpa Pi Asya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. A little advancement in this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. And then, so what a little devotional service. Actually, when I go to the temple, I forget everything. I just don't know. A lot of people, they say, oh, you are tired, you are running, you are doing this. I said, no, I just forget about house and everything, family, everything. When I come back again, it starts. But what I'm saying that, again, I'm tired or anything I feel. Yesterday also, actually, I went to 2 houses for distributing books.
Oh, wonderful.
So
congratulations.
I gave one family, it was very much touching to me. I gave one family, I gave a Bhagavad Gita book. And that lady was so happy when I went there. Oh, we never had anything. We don't know anything here. And younger family, younger generation. But she just asked her son, 7-8-year-old son, to come and sit in front of me and read the Bhagavad Gita slokas.
Wow.
And she was writing in a notebook for him, because from how he will pronounce or anything from Sanskrit to this words. And that boy he holded his hands like this. And he did finish all the slokas, some of the slokas. Until he finished, and I couldn't move from there. It was in the evening, it was very cold. I had to carry the books and go. But that place, I couldn't move from there. I told her, just come to visit our temple.
Wow.
We didn't know anything.
Wow.
And then I said, we had very good Govardhan Puja and other things, you should have visited. And then we do have for children, their classes, Sunday school. So she was so happy to know that.
Mm.
And the way the boy was reading that slokas, it was really heart-touching. So from the childhood, if they start like that, and parents are the main people to teach them.
Yes.
And you're saying devotional service, that is the one thing I just really happy. I look forward to go, and Sunday I want to do something, whether I have strength or whether I have energy or anything, I don't know. But when I'm there, I forget everything.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's so
I wish I
beautiful.
would have gone back to my teenage, so I would have done more. Now I feel that, it's at this age I'm starting this, but never it's late.
Beautiful.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. That's very nice. Very nice.
I just want to let it.
Are there any other questions or comments for Balabhadra Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Hey, Bhakti Shan, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Glory to Prabhupada.
Glory to Prabhupada.
You look like a sadhu with all that nice wrap and everything. All right.
I'm trying to strengthen my devotional identity by trying to look the part. So mostly you've kind of already answered this question or kind of comment that has been going on in my mind as you were giving class, and thinking for myself, noticing that there's always a struggle in my mind, thinking I have responsibilities and duties in my material life,
Yes.
which there's this sense of identity there that I feel that I need to continue to I have to succeed, and I have to have things in my life for my family and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this wanting to do more practical devotional service, but feeling a pull between the two, and recognizing that I'm not where I want to be, and sometimes feeling discouraged about my progress, thinking, I'm still just thinking that I can, try to control and find happiness in this material world and not do the practical devotional service because I think I have too many other things to do. How do we overcome that thinking, or how can we overcome the pull of the material energy that at least keeps me from doing the practical devotional service at the degree that I really know that it needs to be done? Like, there's so many things that I want to just do every day that I don't do because I'm like, oh, I have to work, even though I'm in the team. So yeah, in a lot of ways you've already answered this. So it's not that I don't know if there's anything new that you could say, but because it seems like just get up and do the service or find the inspiration. But I don't know, I'm always feeling this heavy pull, practical devotional service or practical material work. It's like, I don't know. It's just, it's a struggle that I'm constantly feeling. Because I know that when I do devotional service, I feel happiness. I feel that bliss. So anyways,
that's a dilemma that we're all facing. So I was just trying to remember this verse from Nectar of Instruction. It's Upadeshamrita number 3. Utsahan nischaya darayat tat karma pravartanat sangha tyagat sato vrite satbir bhakti prasidyati. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Number 1, which you're already talking about, being enthusiastic. Oh, we were enthusiastic for service. And then endeavoring with confidence. But this is the one that really catches me, being patient. That is conducive for devotional service, being patient. And that's the one we have the hardest time with. We want it now. Come on, Bhakti Shan. We're in a society where instant gratification. We bring that into Krishna consciousness. I want it now. I want to be a pure devotee now. I want to get past all these attachments now. I've been here for 48 years. I still love my grandkids and my son, and I spend time with them, and I make arrangements for different things for them. But does that take me away from Krishna consciousness? I am so thankful to say no. I can do that and think of Krishna. What did Krishna tell Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita? Get up from this chariot, stop weeping and crying, and go back and fight. Now, wait a minute. Arjuna has to go fight. There's like 640 million people involved in this battle. And he has to be part of that. That's why at the end, Yudhisthira was very unhappy that so many people died on his account. And Arjuna was part of orchestrating that, fighting. But Krishna said, go do that and think of me. So Bhakti Shan, take care of your family. You have beautiful little daughters, and they go out on Sankirtan with you. I mean, I'm still resonating from that Harinam we did at Rittenhouse Square. I saw your little daughters. In the beginning, they were kind of like not doing it. And at the end, they were going after the people preaching. See, brought a smile on your face, didn't it? So the investment you made in them is Krishna consciousness. So don't feel bad about that at all, because they're definitely becoming Krishna conscious. And the service you're doing in book distribution, especially your association with those brahmacharis in Atlanta, they're all firing you up, you know. This is incredible. So be thankful for what you have and be hopeful for what Krishna may give you. See, it's not up to you. We think spiritual advancement is up to me. It's not up to us. It's up to Krishna. When he feels that you've satisfied, you know, devotional activities and satisfied the spiritual master, then Krishna gives us the Dhammi Buddhi Yogam. So be patient. Rupa Goswami says it, be patient. And it says, daryat, by patience, because impatience it'll interfere with your spiritual progress if you're impatient. Do not be impatient. You will gradually make progress. So once you learn what is the program, then you can look and see, am I making advancement? Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 8 through 12, describes this very clearly. Okay, the whole process, you know, the knowledge, what is real knowledge in Krishna consciousness, and it walks you through this process. So then Prabhupada says in the purport, you can make a test, and one should use these verses in order to check and see how he's doing. So you don't have to be confused. You just have to know where to look in the books to confirm, am I making progress? Once you're confident you're making progress, then no more doubts. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's wonderful. Patience.
Thank you, Bhakti Shankar. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Keep preaching.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna. Any more questions? If not, I have one more, Balabhadra Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
So this concept of that we make doing devotional service, it is never extinguished. We're always making accumulations into our this spiritual bank account. I can see how that can be very encouraging, and it's true. You know, it's written there in the scriptures. And it's also very encouraging because we feel like it'll never be depleted. It'll never go away.
Right.
At the same time, I guess if it's misunderstood, we could also have this mentality as kind of like I'm earning, or there'll be a point in time when I've done enough where I will have achieved or earned, or, you know, like I'm saving up to buy a car. Like I got enough in my account now. Now I'm going to like not have to do this anymore, because the goal of me saving up was to get something. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you could maybe speak to that idea.
Yeah. No, it goes back to what I was quoting from the Nectar Devotion about the great hope. So a strong conviction. There's no harm in having a strong conviction, which comes from service. When you do enough service, you become more convinced, you hear enough. A strong conviction that one will certainly receive the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called in Sanskrit, Asha Bandha. Asha Bandha means to continue to think, quote, because I'm trying my best. I think that's critical, because I'm trying my best to follow the routine principles, not speculating. I'm following the routine principles of devotional service. I am sure, confident, that I will go back to Godhead, back to home. But I'm doing the service Once I step back from service and start saying, yeah, you know, I got it together, I know this, I know that, and like you say, we slow down, then we lose it. Well, we don't lose it. It always stays there. But then we plateau at that point. We can make continual advancement if we just continually engage in service, and we will continue to engage in service commensurate to our understanding of the importance of it. And that comes from reading and studying and associating with devotees, asking questions like we're doing here back and forth, you know, confirming, am I doing the right thing? Like Bhakti Shan just did. Is this the right way? Should I do it like this? Should I do it like that? So then we won't come to that platform like you're describing where we think we've made it. Goswamis never said they made it. They never said they're seeing Krishna. Hey Radhe Brajadevi Ke Chalalite. They said, where are you, Krishna? Where are you? They never, oh, I'm seeing Krishna every day. Never. They never said like that. Prabhupada never said like that. He had the confidence that Krishna was with him. He had the confidence that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was with him, and he did his service. But he never got to the point where it says, I've made it now. Once two senior Vaishnavas in Mayapur, they were having this argument. I happened to be in the room. And one was saying, after initiation, Anartha everything is taken care of. And the other one said, no, it's an ongoing process until we leave this world. And they were back and forth. And these were two gurus in ISKCON discussing this point, back and forth. And then I always forget his name, he was in England. He had the entire set of Chaitanya Charitamritas on the desk at the meeting in Mayapur. And he pulled out the Gundicha Marjana pastime, and he read from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's explanation, Srila Prabhupada puts in the purport, about this process of continually taking out the straws, and you must go on, you must go on, must go on. It's not you achieve some level and then you're there. We should constantly be working on our hearts, engaging in devotional service. So that mentality, which you described so nicely, carefully, you know, it happens when we lose focus on the importance of humble service in Krishna consciousness. That's when, at least from my understanding, that's when it starts to happen. So we have to keep an eye on that. It creeps up, you know, the ego thing creeps up. And then we have to say, is this correct? And if we're not sure, we approach devotees who can help us through that. It's a very, you know, it's a dangerous situation if we're not careful. It's like a razor's edge, and you're walking on a razor, you have to be so careful. So in Krishna consciousness, we have to be very careful as we go through this process and never become comfortable. I think the way you're describing is that we become comfortable and we think we've made it. Well, when we see Krishna and Balaram entering the forest, then we've made it. Rupa Goswami says, the perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balaram entering the forest. Have we seen that yet? I haven't. Maybe some of you have, but I haven't. So am I done yet? No. Like that, what was it the little kids say in the movie? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I'm not there yet, I know. But I know what there is. The good news is Balabhadra knows what there is. There is a there. I know what it is. I know I'm not there, but I know what it takes to get there. So in my own little humble way, I just keep doing, you know, that routine service. And then hope against hope that Krishna will one day, he won't forget me. And he won't. You know, whether he brings me back again, or he allows me to go back to Godhead. That's up to Krishna. So anyway, those are my thoughts, Prabhu.
Thank you.
I think everybody's hungry for breakfast. So,
so one last thing.
I just
go ahead, Mother.
Yes, Mother.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for your very inspiring class and all.
Thank you. Thank you.
From your lives, all the examples, like touching, very touching. And I think I am inspired to distribute books.
Oh.
Inspired, I will try. I don't know. I'm hesitant, as you were saying. There's a hesitation.
That's so wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
That way we meet different people, you know, different kind of people. And then that's how I learned also. When I go to door, I see a lot of different people. And then whatever little I learned from everyday Bhagavatam class. So I'm very curious to sit, and I'm the first one to sit for this class. And then whatever little I know, I wanted to just tell them, and then And thanks to Vishnugada Prabhu, we learned the slokas also.
Oh, yeah. That's so
It's
beautiful.
very much helpful every Thursday we get, thanks to him.
Yeah.
So all these classes helps me a lot, Prabhu.
Very nice. Now, you talk about door to door and also Harinam. Just real quick. First time I went on Sankirtan, door to door, okay? I'm a new bhakta. And I went to one door and I sold a set of Krishna books, the big ones, for $15. I was so excited. By the time I reached the next door, me and my godbrother, the police were there and they locked us up. And the first time I went on Harinam was with Vishnu Jan Swami, of all people. 35, 40 devotees, Vishnu Jan Swami. And guess what? I got locked up again with the jail. So Krishna tested me. He made it nice, but he also tested me. Do you really want this? These are some of the things you're going to go through. And I tell you, those are some of the most blissful times in my life. When especially going to jail with Vishnu Jan Swami, you can't imagine how wonderful that is. You can ask Lakshmi Nrsimha Prabhu. He remembers that so clearly, that experience of being with a very advanced devotee in a difficult situation and not forgetting Prabhupada and Krishna. So those are the adventures you will have on Sankirtan. I'm not saying you're going to go to jail, okay? But
It's okay. It's Krishna Janmastan, that is. Krishna's
every door is an
Janmastan.
adventure. Every person is an adventure.
Yes.
Think of Sankirtan like this. Every person is an adventure. Every door is an adventure. Every parking lot, wherever you go, Patel Brothers, doesn't matter. Each person you meet is an adventure. So if you think of it like that, you get excited. So I think we better stop. It's 9 o'clock right now, right, Jonah?
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you all.
Okay. Quick announcement about this evening. At 6:40, we have the shloka learning that Mother Vindhyavali had mentioned. Vishnu Gada Prabhu is leading the devotees in learning new shlokas. And then at 7 o'clock, we have our Srila Prabhupada book study night. I'll Build You a Temple by His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. We're reading that book about the development of the Juhu project. So please join us on this same Zoom channel. And also tonight is the last night for Kartik. It's Rasa Purnima. So we can make sure we sing the Damodarastika prayers and get the, pray to Lord Damodar for pure devotional service. Okay. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day, everyone. Balabhadra, thank you so much for a wonderful class.
Anchakalpatarapyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. All glories to
Hare
Prabhupada.
Bhagavatam ki